What's up, YouTube? It's Offie and welcome back to me reacting to horror shorts animated. Now this first one's by Llama and it's titled
Home Invasion Horror Story.
Let's do this.
It was a cold, foggy evening when I contacted a close friend of mine to stay at my place for the night. Both of us were only 10 years old at the time, and my parents were often at work until midnight, so I was usually alone with nothing to do except watching a television show or reading a book. My friend Alex had agreed to come over and brought a game of Monopoly to pass him the time.
Alright.
I also asked if he was interested in going to explore an abandoned subway station 3 miles away. He seemed excited at first, so we planned to go on the trip in the morning. I remembered that the subway dated back to the mid-1920s and became abandoned in 1932 after the market crash in 1929.
Dang.
I was very fascinated about its history, but never got the chance to go inside after my parents had warned me not to enter. As I quietly slept in my bed, I heard what sounded like a gunshot coming from the forest behind the house.
What?
Both of us woke up, frightened after what we had heard, and I told my friend not to worry as hunters tend to go into the forest on frequent occasions, but when I checked the time, it was 11:39 p.m. This seemed very unusual as hunters only came into the forest between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. I looked at Alex and decided to get out of my bed, intending to look through the window and spot for anyone in the forest. The darkness clouded my vision, so I was unable to see anyone in the forest. I turned around and looked at Alex again, when suddenly I heard the front door squeak open.
Uh-oh. See, he forgot to lock it like an idiot.
Chills went down my spine. Both of us quietly moved to the bathroom, locked the door, and kept the light off.
This idiot was really about to turn on the light.
It was the only safe place in the house. Both of us were terrified as we desperately tried to keep as calm as we could. We heard footsteps getting louder and louder until they stopped in front of the bathroom door.
No way.
And then this is when the most terrifying sound forced my heart to almost burst.
Don't be a gunshot. Oh my gosh.
Both of us screamed as the person chopped the door to pieces. It was pitch black inside the room, making it hard to find the vent, and by the time I spotted the vent, the person behind the door had made a hole big enough for us to see him.
Oh my gosh.
The man adorned black leather and was wearing a plague doctor mask. I scurried back to the vent, but it was too high above the floor for us to reach it, so Alex told me to go first because he was the strongest.
No, Alex,
don't die. He lifted me up on his shoulders, allowing me to open the vent and crawl inside. When I looked at the door again, the man had managed to fit his arm through the hole and reached for the lock.
Bro, Alex is gonna die.
I grabbed Alex's hand, but struggled to pull him up into the vent.
Oh no!
Alex! I shouted and began going after him. I pursued the figure until I was led to the abandoned subway deep within the forest. It was chilly and foggy, meaning that I could only see objects within a range of 5 or 6 yards. Inside the subway was a pool of freezing cold water. It was so dark that I couldn't see anything. I had to rely on listening to the screams from Alex and track
keep screaming,
the source. As I slowly walked through the subway, I was now struggling to breathe under the intense stress and fear of the situation.
Bro, come on.
I called, but there was no response. I continued walking through the water until the exit was no longer visible. I was now experiencing a massive panic attack. I had lost track of Alex, and I had no idea where I was or how to get out. Where are you, Alex?
Did he die? Yeah. On October, Alex was confirmed dead after he was found inside the ticket office, hanging from the ceiling. I'm still in shock after they just killed my boy Alex.
And his friend.
In the year 2009, I was spending a weekend with my uncle on his ranch when my parents were renovating the new house we had just bought. It was my second night there, a Saturday, and it happened to be during one of the biggest thunderstorms of the year. I'd say there were at least 3 crashes of thunder and lightning per minute. And we were in the heart of the storm because the thunder would crash not even a second after the lightning would. I always enjoyed listening to storms while laying in bed. So I stayed up a little later watching TV, just enjoying the ambiance.
Ooh, what you watching, bro?
After the movie I was watching finally ended, I turned off the TV and tried to fall asleep.
On the couch? Oh my gosh.
As I heard the lightning strike from outside, I could have sworn I heard some kind of metallic thud coming from outside at the same time. I didn't pay it too much mind. 20 seconds later, I could have sworn I heard it again. A very distinct metallic thud coming from outside to match the timing of the lightning. I really don't mean to make this sound like a cliche horror story, but my uncle really is a kind of creepy guy, and I was never close with him even remotely. So for that reason, I didn't feel right going to wake him up. I just tried to forget about it.
Bro, you gotta get up.
Now I was getting concerned. What the hell could that be? After the third time, I finally got out of bed and walked over to the window of the guest bedroom. The water pouring down on the window made it extra hard to see what was out there in the dark fields. A flash of lightning momentarily lit up the property, but I couldn't see anything. However, once again, the sound of a metal hit accompanied it. The sound was so close now, it sounded like it was coming from the left of the window at a blind spot.
Whoa.
I was going to do something I knew my uncle wouldn't be happy about. It would be a bit messy, but I was going to open the window and peer outside to see if I could see what the sound. Hooked the window lock and slid it up, and immediately the wind of the storm blew drops of rain
Where's
into
your
the room
gun, bro?
and onto me. I stuck my head out the window and looked to the left, and at that very moment, lightning lit up the property once again,
Chill out.
and I could see a person dressed in all black crouched down
Bro, I
by
didn't
the
even see
outside
it.
basement door with his hand raised in the air. And before the sky went dark, I caught the briefest glimpse of what the sound was coming from.
What was he doing?
The person was bashing at the basement door lock.
Why?
I pulled my head in and quietly shut the window, making sure to lock it. I was in a panic. I feared he might have seen or heard me.
Oh, he definitely did.
I ran back to bed and pretended to be asleep,
Bro, what
facing
type of-
away from the window.
Bro, why would you? I
Lightning-
don't understand it. Oh.
Lightning crashed once again, but this time there was no metallic thud. My heart must have dropped as I realized this. I just stayed put in bed for the longest time, hoping whoever was out there would go away. After maybe 3 more lightning crashes without any thuds accompanying them, I thought it would be safe to go tell my uncle. I turned to face the window and screamed. There was a figure, clear as day, standing at the window, looking in at me. I screamed as loud as I could and ran straight to my uncle's room. He went outside with
Oh
his
my
hunting
gosh,
rifle with
Uncle's a
nothing on
G.
but his pajamas, not even socks. He ran around the entire property yelling like a madman, but didn't find anyone.
He knows what to do.
The next morning, we were able to better see the marks on the basement door lock. It was almost bashed open. Maybe 3 or 4 more good hits would have done it, according to my uncle. He was proud of me for picking up on it. Luckily, I was out of there that same day.
Jeez.
My uncle hasn't told us of any incidents since, so I think he's been okay. Not that we
think?
talked to him much at all.
Dang, bro, that's kind of
I'm
messed
grateful
up.
I stayed up a little later that night watching that movie, because I may have just stopped a robbery, or possibly much worse.
Wait.
This one's the last one for real.
Entitled True Home Invasion Horror. Ooh, 2 home invasions, and it's by Wanty
This happened
Entertainment.
to me in 2017 when I was about 15 years old. The day was going all right. It was an average Saturday. I was just sitting on the couch in the living room, chatting with my friends online on my tablet. Besides me, only my parents were home because my older sister was hanging out with her friends. It was around 2:30 p.m. when someone knocked on the door. My mother went to check out who it was, and I looked over to the door, curious to see who it was as well.
Whoa.
She saw 2 men outside.
Yo.
One of them was wearing a blue shirt, and the other wearing a black jacket. They were complete strangers. None of us knew either of the men, and we weren't used to receiving any visitors, canvassers, or anything like that. So since my mom didn't know them, she asked who they were, but neither of them answered that question. Instead, the man with the blue shirt said they needed to use the house.
No! Use
My
the
mother
house?
obviously got creeped out by that response, like anyone would, and she asked,
What do you mean by that?
but the man just said that they needed to get in the house. But my mother responded that she was not letting them in and that they needed to leave. The man wearing the black suddenly banged on the door and
you
tried
gotta
to
call
force it
the
open.
cops.
At that moment, my mom screamed and I jumped off of the couch. I was completely startled and I was panicking,
Bro, call
but
the
also
cops.
frozen in shock. There were so many things going through my head, and that's when my mom turned to me and shouted for me to call the police.
Thank you.
The men hadn't stopped banging on our door, and they started trying to kick it in. Thankfully, the hinges on our door managed to hold it in place.
Yeah, that's
my
a
father
strong
heard
door.
all the noise
Oh
and
my
came running
gosh,
from
there
his
he
room
is.
with his revolver in hand, yelling and asking, "What's going on?" but then the banging stopped.
Yeah.
And we heard the men running away. My mother called the police. They arrived in 15 minutes. We explained what happened, but they said they couldn't do much immediately.
What you
None
mean
of us
you can't
knew
do
where they
nothing?
ran to or if they had any vehicle. So the cops couldn't do anything immediately.
Do we
but
have
they
cameras?
said they would see if they could find anything useful in the few security cameras around the area and talk to potential witnesses. The rest of the day passed by and nothing strange happened. So we thought that everything was okay, and it really seemed to be until the next day. In the middle of the night on Sunday, I was in the living room playing some games on my laptop while voice chatting with a friend on Discord. We were on vacation, so we would play games all night. But then I heard some strange noises coming from outside.
You know what that
They
is?
sounded like footsteps. I told my friend I had to go check something and got up. Honestly, I both thought and hoped that it would be nothing. But just in case, I brought my baseball bat with me
that's
and
him.
went to check on the door.
Wait, you didn't open the
As
door,
I was
surely?
walking up to the door, someone unlocked it from the outside and started opening the door as if they simply had the key. I was paralyzed for a moment, and a man who was about my height but definitely larger than me walked into the house. He was dressed completely in black and had a mask over his face. He seemed
I got a
surprised
baseball
that I
bat,
was
though.
there, and he started reaching into his back pocket.
He has a
It
gun.
took less
Oh,
than
shoot.
a second for my heart to start pounding out of pure terror.
Oh,
My
yeah.
first
I got a guy running, throwing a weapon. Smoking.
all my
Oh
strength,
my
and I did it. It all happened in a second. I struck him in the temple
Sit
with
down,
the bat,
little
and he
jit.
staggered to the wall. Then with the adrenaline still rushing through my
yeah, he
body,
feels it.
I raised the bat over my head and swung it down at him again, and hit the top of his head this time.
Oh, yeah, he's dead.
And he fell to the ground and didn't get up anymore. But when I saw that right behind him there were two other men,
Oh, shoot.
one of them had just pulled out a gun
Oh.
and pointed at me. I couldn't see the gun clearly as it was sort of dark over there, but it was obvious from his stance that he had a gun pointed at me. I confirmed it after I heard him pulling the slide on the gun and immediately screamed as loud as I
He
could and
missed?
tried to get out of the way. But the man fired the gun and the
Holy
bullet barely
smokes.
missed my head. But the flash from the blast and the loud bang were so close to my face that I got dazed. I fell on my back, and my vision was blurry and my ears were ringing. I was desperately screaming for help and crawling away as fast as I could. I could hear one of the men telling the other to shoot me again already. I thought I was going to die, but I managed to bring myself to my feet and run around the corner and out of their view.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone in the house had woken up to the gunshot and my screaming, and my
There we
father
go.
rushed in with his gun. As soon as he saw the men who broke in, he began shooting at them both. I think a bullet hit one of them because he screamed out before I heard more shots and they ran away. They got into a blue car and tried to speed away from our home. My father shot at them again. It
Hit the
didn't
tire.
hit them, but the bullets hit
Tire.
their car.
Okay.
As soon as we turned on all the lights, the bat was
Yeah.
twitching on
Oh
the
my-
floor,
yeah.
and there was a puddle of
Twitching
blood
is
under the wounds
crazy.
in his head. My mother comforted me and told my sister to call the police, but when she was about to, there were already multiple police cars coming.
Oh, okay.
The friend who was talking to me on Discord heard everything and called the police, and many neighbors did the same due to the gunshots.
Okay, nice.
Because the police
nice.
arrived so soon, they managed to track down the men who ran away and arrest them both. The man I wounded got taken to the hospital, but I never got any news about
Man,
what
don't
happened
give
to
no
him later.
hospital?
And frankly, I don't want to. Later, I found out that they were already wanted for breaking and entering homes, murdering residents, and then stealing everything of value.
Oh my
And those
gosh.
wretches probably plan to do the same in my house. I hope that justice is served now that these men are behind bars, and it still eats away at me sometimes when I
chill
think
out.
about it. Had I not been awake and gotten in their way, those men would have done horrible things to my family and me. I'm glad that we are all
Oh
okay
my
today,
gosh,
and I
bro.
hope that we will never go through something like that ever again.